Hello, hello, and welcome to the Color Whisperer Show. I have an exciting guest for you today. We're going to have so much fun. So, she calls herself Mary Mary. That's Merrymary. And she is absolutely Mary. We're going to have a lot of fun. And she is the Hollywood Pet Whisperer. And as a fellow whisperer, I know we got lots and lots to talk about. So, welcome, Mary.
It's such a pleasure to be here. Yeah,
It's so much fun.
Mary Mary is like my comedy moniker and one of my clients. So technically, the animal is the client, and then I call their humans the parents. That's my
I
lingo.
love that. The parents. I
The
love
parents.
it.
Well, wait for this because one of my parents called me Mary Poppins.
Oh,
And I just melted because that's absolutely what I do. I just show up and I'm like, oh, for all the good boys and girls, you get Mary Poppins, and then I stay with them for a while and I bring joy into their lives, and then I'm whisked away to my next client.
I love it. Do you have an umbrella?
You know what? It's funny. I thought about it, then I was like, oh, it might scare the dogs.
Ah, now I always joke that my car is Mary Poppins' bag
Absolutely.
because it's a little car, but it holds so much, and it's uncanny how many times I will get something for one client and they'll say no to it. But before I return it, I'm with another client. I'm like, oh, I've got the perfect thing in my car. So,
It's like the universe was like, wait, you're going to get this great, beautiful deal, and then you're going to hold on to it for the next person.
right,
Yeah,
right.
that's so
That's
cool.
awesome. And pets are children in many ways. And
Mhm.
dogs, I think dogs are eternally 2 year olds. And I've got cats, and they're kind of eternally teenagers or like teens. They're like, I want to be independent. I think I know everything, but whatever. And and so many people like that their pet is their family. And I think now we have so many pets that this is more dogs than cats, but that are emotional stability. I mean, especially during COVID, I think that number went way up. um, so tell me what you do. Tell me what a pet whisperer is.
Yeah, it's so I grew up with animals my whole life. Grew up with horses. I grew up with an African gray parrot named Gandalf. We always had a menagerie of animals, and in my family, we call it the Dr. Doolittle. And my dad and I both have the strong Dr. Doolittle gene. So I've always really loved and related to animals, and I think that's also part of what makes me a good improviser and actor, is I listen with my eyes and I'm very present, and I hold space for everyone and everything to express themselves. So a lot of what I consider pet whispering is being very attentive and empathetic to the needs and the cues of the animals. And I have one client that he calls her a problem child. She's eternally grumpy. She's an absolute little pecan sandy, and I love her to death, but she hates loud noises. She's very, very moody and very particular. And I'm 6 feet tall, and I'm not a small or quiet person. But when I'm around Maggie, I soften my energy, I lower my tone, I physically make myself smaller. And I'm one of the only people that, besides his dad, her dad, that can spend time with her because I
Mhm.
get her and I modify my energy to where she feels comfortable and confident.
That's so cool. One of the things I do is there's 4 personality types. And when I peg that client, I will dress as much as I can
Ooh,
in their personality type
nice.
and try to match that energy. And I have a cat that's a rescue, and I tend to walk heavy. I'm only 5'2", but I walk like a man, I guess. I don't know. But I walk
You
heavy.
take up space, and
I
that's
take up
beautiful.
space. I
You know,
take up
I'm
space.
Jeanette, and I am here, and you will
Right,
hear me roar.
right. And I have to be careful because he actually
Yeah.
feels safer outside. He doesn't like being in the house. but he comes in the house to eat. And if it's really hot or if it's really cold, he stays in the house.
Yeah.
But
he's got a whole social life, Jeanette. He's got a whole village.
But I have to be aware when he is in the house, like I have to do like what you just said is right. I have to be aware of my walk because my walk will scare him. So
it's funny that you say that because right now I'm with with a Chug and a Chihuahua. And so when I walk very softly and carefully because they love to follow me everywhere. And I don't want to accidentally punt anyone. So I move slower and with more purpose because they're always around my feet. And then I have another client named Wally. I call him Pony Boy because he comes up to my mid-thigh. And it's very fascinating because I flex with each client according to what they need. Wally is a horse. So I think part of being a whisperer is being tuned in, tapped in, turned on to yourself and your environment. And you're consistently switching the compass of self in order to modify to meet the needs of the client. And to me, the most paramount thing is safety and comfort. Right. So I always flex back for my client's safety and comfort. So I do like horse commands with him. Like I lead him around the house like a horse because it's what he is in dog form.
I love it.
So yeah, I love that. I relate to that. You know, you in every relationship, it's bending and flexing, you know?
Absolutely.
So it's very fun for me to assess. I tend to get a lot of clients that have anxiety, and it's not anything that I plan for, but I consider all of the work that I do to be very spiritual. Everything that I do is in alignment with my mission statement, which is to facilitate light, love, and laughter. I'm here for joy. That is my jam. Mary Hines. I'm here for joy. So I feel like the universe brings me some sweet babies that need a little extra love and support. And because I focus on joy, I'm able to make them feel safe and comfortable, which gives their parents so much relief because I treat the home and your fur baby like my own.
Yeah. So what kinds of things give these dogs anxiety? Do you touch into that? And then do you have to train the parents so that because oftentimes, and this happens with children as well as with pets, is like, I know when I'm really anxious and stressed out, I see it being reflected in my cats.
Yes.
And so do you train the parents then too to help the animal feel more safe?
Jeanette, I'm happy that you said that because I've noticed something very fascinating, that the behavior of the animal tends to be in reaction and response to the energy of the parent. So I was taking care of one client that was an Aussie who had been abused and was just very, very anxious. And I was nothing but loving and wonderful. And I followed all the directions to a T. And it happened that his parent also ran on the anxious side. So it's kind of like when I come into this scenario, it's like I'm walking a line of how much change can I facilitate? And if I do some different training, are they going to revert right back when they get back to their normal environment? So I endeavor to just make it really positive and a lot of love. And I follow all the directions that I'm given to a T. A lot of times with dogs with anxiety, separation anxiety, it's about me just being present for them. So I make sure that I don't have any other things that will take me away, that I can stay at their home the whole time. So it's a fine line of like wanting to do training and help modify behaviors and also doing the job that I'm brought in for.
Yeah.
You know?
And love is the ultimate healer.
It really is. And I'm 14 months sober. That's something that's really changed my life. Like, so I know that by focusing on my clarity and health and high vibration, then I just get to be in reaction and response to the choice of being clean and clear and under control, you know? Sponsorship.
Well, and that was a anxiety response on your part too. And taking responsibility for owning
my energy, taking
right. So you basically said, I'm going to take responsibility for my own energy, which is what you're helping the animals to do too.
I love that, Jeanette.
I'm a healer as well. So
Yeah, you are.
I do healing work, and I love them both. I love the design work. I love the healing work. But, there's a lot of ways that we rent out our anxiety. Mine's
Ooh, yes, with the language.
right
Rent out our anxiety. Go on.
So, like, for me, it's food. Like, I have several friends that are, they've been in AA, some of them for a long time. And, I was joking with one the other day. She's like, "Oh, I gave up scotch. Now I got to give up coffee. I can't give up my coffee."
I can't wait.
I could care less if I ever, drinking, like, I don't care. I one glass a month is
Great.
a lot for me. I like, that doesn't phase my world. Coffee, I don't like, a lot of the eans I don't like. But you want me to give up bread? You want me to give up my cookies?
Cheese?
Whoa.
No, I need my cheddar.
It's the same thing that's causing the addiction is why do I eat? I eat because I'm stressed. I eat because of anxiety. And so it still has detrimental to my health. It has different kind of detriment, but it's still a way for me to hide.
I think the key to that, to me, is awareness.
Absolutely.
Awareness and kindness. And then it's about making choices. And this is in direct relation to interior design. Is all of the shirts that still have another wear in them, are they on the chair, or are they in their own little pretty basket that makes you happy when you look at it? So it's all, I feel like as the world feels like it's getting crazier and crazier, I think about, what do I have immediate control over? So I make sure, like, I have a green juice in the morning, and then I wait a little bit to have my coffee, and I make sure I've got yogurt and cottage cheese and high protein.
And it's having the right things in the house.
Setting yourself
I
up
eat
for
great.
success.
If I have the right things in the house, I eat fine.
Yeah.
But I don't bring cookies into my house, because once they're in the house, there's no willpower.
It's
but
like,
I don't bring them into the house.
Instead of cookies, have some really yummy dark chocolate.
Yeah.
Right? And then occasionally have a cookie, but setting yourself up for success. It's I call it being a big girl. Be like, oh, I gotta be a big girl. Oh no.
And it's about owning our anxiety. So when we allow, because one of the things in it too is being afraid to feel our feelings. But once you allow those feelings to express themselves,
feelings are out.
No. But doesn't mean that we don't have them. Sure. But if we ride that wave, just like we ride the period wave, we ride that wave, and then we can let it go, because otherwise it gets stuck in our bodies and it creates anxiety. And I've done some healing work on one of my cats is a rescue. I've done some healing work on him, and I've seen a change in him. He doesn't always let me, but when he does, I've seen it really change him. Hey, Mark.
Hey, I had a quick question. I put it in chat, but I know sometimes you can't read the chat and everything along those lines. But how much do pets, Mary, pay attention to color and all along those lines? Because that's something I was always been curious about, because I know that Jeanette is the color whisperer and you are the animal whisperer. And then I was also wondering if you had some thoughts about how much pets pay attention to comedy, because I know that you're an improv person and a comedian as well. So I just wondered, how much do pets pay attention to these, what we consider human emotions and human flavor? So I was wondering whether they pay attention to color, because I see these vibrant colors that you have in your background, and I know that Jeanette is very much about vibrant colors as well.
Yeah, interesting. Great question. Well, pets dominantly see in a kind of grayscale, and then they see yellow and blue. So I don't know. Rory, do you see color? Do you care about color, honey? Is she sleeping? That's a really great question. I think I've noticed that my pet clients react more to emotional energy and intention. I feel like that is a more dominant access point, energy, as opposed to visual. So if the visual color in your space makes you happy, then it's the happiness that they're in response to. I'd be curious to discover that more, but I know, like, that's, they love their really bright neon yellow balls. So it's like yellow and blue. So it's actually interesting. I have a whole line of clothing that's like my pet walking clothing. And so a lot of it is blue. And so I don't know, it's kind of like every little thing that helps, right?
And blue, now this is, so even if they can't see color, they're still going to get the vibration of color.
Ooh.
And blue is the color of trust. So somebody can be totally colorblind, but they still feel the energy of the color.
Instantly buys more blue clothing.
and
my eyes are blue. I often wonder if that, I don't know. Yeah.
There you go. So blue is a color of healing, color of physical healing. Blue makes time. It doesn't make time stand still. It makes the passage of time. You don't realize the passage of time so much. So like you go into the hospital, there's often blue waiting room. In the airport, there's a blue waiting room. A lot of places that you have to wait are blue because it makes you not realize the passage of time as much.
Fascinating. Oh, right? I love it.
And so when you're going in when people are not there, so the dogs, probably cats too, but the dogs are going to be the ones with more anxiety, I presume.
Yeah.
But the dogs are going to be, and so they're going to trust you. They're going to feel that vibration of trust. But animals are so instinctual, and it's a great litmus test when you have a company come over. If the cat runs and hides, or the dog runs and hides, I'm like, okay, what's going on with this person? If they go right up to the person, it tells you a lot about who they are.
I often get clients just when I'm out walking other dogs or out walking myself, because I joke that I'm a Great Dane, right? So I feel like some of the animals look to me like, oh, it's my big dog friend has come over to play. Because that is my energy. I'm a big Great Dane. Like that is me completely. If you couldn't tell, it's completely obvious to me. And so I've met so many clients when I'm out, because I'll see them and I'll be like, oh, you guys are such a cute pair. Or be like, may I say hello? And just in those couple seconds of interactions, their parents will be like, you're really amazing with animals. And we're like, well, I am the pet sitter. I want to get hats made. The business is still pretty new. I've been pet sitting for a while, but it's still pretty fresh. So I want to get Hollywood Pet Whisperer hat or like a t-shirt.
Oh, I love it.
Right.
I can help you with that. Let's talk later. I can give you some stuff to.
I've got a logo. I've got the website. Cool. I just haven't put the website up. So I'm doing it very intelligently. I have a gorgeous logo my friend Justin designed for me. So I've got the pieces parts. So just putting it up, meeting all the right. Again, it's also being brave enough to show up for yourself and say yes to opportunities like this right now.
Well, you've got a killer name. I mean,
isn't it great? Thank you.
Hollywood Pet Whisperer.
And then Mary Poppins is the Hollywood Pet Whisperer.
Yeah. No, you've got the marketing, like you just got to put it out there and you're booked.
In hindsight, I would have probably gone with Mary Poppins, but I wanted to be more.
I like the Hollywood because there's when you see I'm the Hollywood Pet Whisperer, you get into a lot of woo stuff and but there's this Hollywood, like, well, I'm famous. Like, I'm branding, right? It's total branding. And I like it better than Mary Poppins because when you say I'm the Hollywood Pet Whisperer, it's like, whoa, and like immediately I come to mind like, oh, you're working with stars.
Yeah.
You're the pet whisperer to
the
stars.
What? I'm on the way. I've been saying Lady Gaga, I'm going to take care of Lady Gaga's dogs. Like I'm an actor and it's so much of life I feel like is surrender to what you think it's supposed to look like and say yes to what is showing up. So I'm out here to be the next Maya Rudolph and my acting career is going really well. And it's like, well, what nourishes my joy? And right now I'm with a pet sitting client and I'm having this amazing conversation with you. All I need is a slice of table and some good Wi-Fi and I can make anything happen.
I was actually going to share a story with both of you that I think you will enjoy. One, I'm down here at the National Black Theater Festival, which is why I'm not where I'm usually at in terms of that, because that's going on in Winston-Salem. There's a bunch of actors and actresses and everything here that are doing everything from Regis Theaters to stage performances. And they do that every 2 years in Winston-Salem. It used to be every odd year, but after the pandemic, it got thrown to every even years. I think the last 2 years it's been on even years. So the next one you'll have to come to, Mary, is in, and Jeanette is in 2026 and everything. But this is its 18th one. But the story I was going to share that I think both of you will enjoy is, I know that I told Jeanette that my mom had company over because we did like this family reunion and everything along those lines. So mom had a cousin, well, her first cousin, I think it is, that came over and visited her and stayed with her with a month and everything. But she brought Coco with her, and Coco was a very little small dog. And apparently mom was very much having, let's say, some pet withdrawal because Coco is gone now, and she was enjoying Coco because Coco would literally come by and stay by her foot and was definitely having that energy that you were talking about with pets. So she bonded with mom, but she knew it was going to be a limited visited and all along those lines. So mom was sitting there going like, Trash, I miss Coco. I miss Deb too, but I think I might miss Coco more and everything. So I just wonder if you can talk about that bonding that folks have with their pets and even other people's pets when they come to visit. Because like I said, Deb came, we did a whole family reunion. And like I said, Coco was there as long as Deb was, which was a little bit over a month.
Yeah, it's a very special bond. It's a very special connection. My dad has an amazing black lab named Finn, and Finn is his unofficial helper dog. And
Mhm.
it's my dad has had a couple, some health challenges, one of them being just persistent problems with his foot. Well, Finn, turns out, had cancer in his toe. So it's very fascinating how your pet sidekick can absorb your energy. So Sweet Finn was doing everything he knew how to. He loves my dad. They're absolute inseparable buddies, and they're both completely adorable. So it's very fascinating how I feel like he absorbed some of my dad's energy and took it into himself. Right now, my mom is currently conquering breast cancer, and she adopted a cat named Binks. We named him Binks, her Binks. And Binks is inseparable to my mom. And it brings my mom so much joy. She's always, since her cat passed away, she's always wanted a little kitty sidekick. So now she has Binks, and Binks follows her everywhere. So there's a term that I really love in Hawaiian. It's called kahu, and it means it's pastor, it's facilitator, it's I do not. If I have talking about Rory sitting next to me, if I were Rory's parent, I do not own Rory. I am her attendant. I am her guardian, and also she is my guardian. We are each other's guardians. It's really,
Absolutely.
really beautiful.
From the healing aspect, I 100% agree that the animals take on our energy. And what happens when we sleep with somebody, and that somebody can be a pet.
Yeah.
Our energies intertwine, literally. Okay, and I'm talking about sleeping with, not not, I mean, sex happens too, but I'm talking about the act of sleeping.
Yeah. Slumber party. Yeah.
So our energies intertwine, and my understanding is that what cats do is cats literally transmute the energy. That's what they feel their job is. They're a little bit older. We talked about them being teenagers, but their job is to transmute the energy. What dogs do is dogs fill the place with joy. Dogs are 2-year-olds. 2-year-old doesn't but what does a 2-year-old do? 2-year-old laughs all the time. It's got a big smile on his face all the time. So what they do is they transmute the energy by filling it with joy. And so each of them have their own special way of doing healing. And when I had a cat that got really sick right after my husband and I split up, and I felt really bad. I'm like, oh my God, did I do this? And she was old. She was 17 years old. So on one hand, but the timing was right after we split up. Within a couple of weeks, she was sick. And I felt really guilty. I'm like, I did this to her because of my anxiety. So we have to, we are they're guarding us, and they're doing what they can to build our vibration, to build our energy up. But in return, we also have to be a safe place for them, so that they get to be the 2-year-olds and the 12-year-olds that they are.
I love that. I feel like it's all about like holding space for each other. And I love what that does in the moment with the client, and also just with the parent as well. Like, for example, I recently gained a client who's an Amazonian yellow nape parrot named Gladys.
Wow.
Gladys is iconic. She is a little bit younger than me. She's in her early 30s. She's very choosy. She doesn't really like people. She loves me. We sing together. We get along. I walk around with her on my shoulder, and I stop in front of a mirror and I go, who is that beautiful girl? And she's the whole time, she's like, just like chatting, having a really great time. So not only was I able to give Gladys an amazing experience, but her parent is like, you're so amazing. Like, would you consider me putting Gladys to you in my will, because my daughter is afraid of birds? So it's like the joy that it ripples out in huge ways. Like, when we are brave and we love and we facilitate joy for ourselves and everyone in our orbit,
Right.
It is a transformational power. I like to call it the joy transaction. And I know that by giving these cute little gremlins, little spicy chicken nuggets I'm with right now, by loving up on them, their parents, Sarah and Boaz, are able to be on vacation,
right?
Relax.
And know they're safe.
And I'm taking care of their plants, and I'm bringing in their packages, and I'm leaving the lights on so no one decides to break into the house. Like, I hold space for safety.
100%.
And it feels awesome. And because of that, my business is in this beautiful state of perpetuity, because now the client that I'm with wants to recommend the great pet sitter, and they want to help me build my business. So it's pretty freaking cool when you shine in purpose on purpose.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
It does. And I love what you said, because it is brave.
It's very brave.
To show love. And I think that's why pets are so important, because it's a lot braver to show love with another human being. But pets just love us unconditionally.
100%.
They just, like, you show them love, and they know that there's a safe place, and that's it. And they don't need a lot to feel safe with us. So let's talk about talking to our animals, because I think that's so important. And a lot of people, they talk to them a little bit, but it's not, they're pets. There's a certain amount of attention that they need.
Yeah.
So tell me more. Tell us, Mrs. Doolittle.
Yes,
talk to the animals.
It's a lot about paying attention to physical cues. In terms of dogs are consistently giving physical cues. So it's when they do a physical behavior, reward it or speak to it in your language or however you communicate with your body. To me, it's all about very physical communication as well. So, for example, a dog will do, it's like we can call it like downward dog. And that's also known as a play bow. So the play bow means I want to play. It also means I feel safe with you. So that's a line of, to me, I look at it as an actor. That's a line of dialogue. I want to play. I feel safe. So often I will do a similar thing with my body and be like, oh, I know. I'm very, in improvisation, we have something called gibberish. Language is just the dress on the body. It's the energy that goes through it. So another thing too, one of my I love that I'm with clients right now. Penelope, she's the house manager. She's very, very bossy. And so she loves to, whenever I'm sitting, I'm amazed she's not in my lap right now, but I told them I have an important meeting. So they're being very good. So I like to steal moments with Penelope and I go, I know this is your house, ma'am. I know you run the house. This is your house, honey. And she always follows me to the bathroom and sits down. And I always say, thank you so much for keeping me safe. Right. And it's also things like when they bark and freak out, I endeavor to not do alpha voice disciplinary because there's always a reason behind the behavior. So if they're barking, I say, thank you so much. We're safe. Or I have another client, again, Wally. I love Wally so much. Wally the pony dog. Wally loves to sniff everything. He very rarely will go after to eat it. He just likes sniffing. So when I see him sniff, that's a very important behavior for him. So I allow him to sniff. So those are some examples.
That's awesome. Yeah. Little kids come to my house. I collect teapots and stuff.
Oh, fun.
I have, little dolls I've collected since I was a little girl and stuff
Madame
like that.
Alexander dolls? Yeah.
They're ceramic dolls. So my niece and nephew would come over and they're curious, right? So they're a year old, 2 years old, and they want to know how things work. And, I'm not just going to give it to them. And you can't just say no, 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 no all the time.
Right.
You can't.
It's literally like a slap, like no.
Right. So I would pick them up and I would show them something and I'd say, no, you can't touch this. It can break. Or I'll bring it down to them. I'll say, okay, you can touch this, but do it very gentle, depending on their age,
Sure.
But when you make everything no, 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 you're not teaching them anything. And if they're curious, that's their natural brain at 2 years old. They're curious.
I let them
find out.
Yeah,
if he loves to sniff. You've got to let him sniff. As long as he's not breaking anything or doing anything bad, he's just sniffing. This is how he learns and gets information. You've got to allow that.
Yeah. Yep. And it's a lot of I focus a lot on doing I had this one client, she's now crossed the Rainbow Bridge and I miss her a lot. She's absolutely amazing. And her name is Gigi. Again, I love, she was like family to me. I love her so much. And sweet Gigi. Oh, hey, yeah, right? This is what happens when you live in love. Sometimes you get squishy. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Gigi had some hip problems. So whenever we would be in bed, snuggling up, I focused on doing energy healing on her hips, just sending her up. So it's a lot of intentionality with movement. If I have an anxious dog, I will do my personal meditation to be in a good space. And then I will do my best to transfer that light to the animal. And she would often then get up, and Gigi gave the best hugs ever. Her hugs are where, how this is a fun fact. Elephants hug each other, but the way that they hug is they just slam and, they just, because they don't have arms. So they just put their heads into each other. So Gigi, after that, she would come to me and just push her head against me. And I would be giving her scritches. I'd be like, thank you for this hug, honey. I'm happy I can help you. It's really, it's really, really cool.
I love it. And I want to go back to the parrots, because parrots actually live for a long time.
Yes.
And I don't think a lot of people know that. And they're very demanding attention wise. Yes. And so, and that's another thing. I knew a lady who had them one time, and my ex always wanted a bird. And then when I found out how much they needed, I was like, oh, I ain't doing that. If you want to do it, but
it's a lot.
It's not falling on my shoulders. Right. So tell us a little bit about working with parrots.
Yeah, parrots are very fascinating. They pick their family structure. So, for example, Gandalf, the African gray that I grew up with, Gandalf loved my dad. My dad was his person. Gandalf decided, and I definitely facilitated it as well, that we were like brother and sister. We would do all these games and stuff together, but I could not pick up Gandalf because Gandalf would bite me. But Gandalf and I had a really fun relationship. But I think with parrots, it's about knowing what your relationship is, never assuming their behavior, and always being ready and expectant for anything. Gladys and I have an amazing relationship. I also know that she could not snap is not the right word, but she could like snap at any moment in time. So when I have her on my shoulder, I keep my energy quiet and calm. I try to not get her too riled up. You're never supposed to look directly at her face, right? So I'm always like talking to her, but I'm looking profile. I'm cognizant of her behavior as well. I take her outside. She's got her wings clipped. So I have her enrichment time. She goes outside and I chat with her. And then I can get her riled up because she's on her perch and she's safe. I had her on my shoulder recently while I was taking care of Gladys and these 3 amazing Chihuahuas. And a neighbor came over to talk to us. And Gladys started to walk to the back of my shirt. And I noticed, again, observation, puffed up feathers means happy, feathers down and sleek means I'm scared. So I had like hollered out to these people who hollered out to me, and I was about to like have a conversation with them. But Gladys, feathers down, tried to hide. So I'm keenly aware of at any moment she could bite. She's stressed. She's scared. She could bite me at any moment. So I soften my language to this neighbor and I say, "Hi, I'm so happy to see you. I'm so sorry, but Gladys I got to be really aware with Gladys. She's feeling anxious." So it's about knowing their moods and their temperaments and when they're in the danger zone, because that's a can opener on the end of their face.
Mm-hmm.
So birds are really fascinating. They're very smart, and they're also very delicate. It's actually interesting. I consider them very similar to horses in the way that they're incredibly sensitive and intuitive and also dangerous.
Now, horses are often used as therapeutic. So you work with horses. Horses are also, oh my gosh.
You're doing great. Horses are therapeutic. Horses are therapeutic.
Oh goodness. I don't usually have this much problems. Anyway,
you're doing great.
Horses are often therapeutic animals.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very healing. The love that they give is very healing. So tell me how you work with horses.
So I grew up, actually, this is a great example. Little Miss Rory just flipped over belly up. So that means she's safe and happy. Oh, did I get a good squishy spot? I love that I'm scratching her belly during this conversation. I'm authentic as the day is long. Hi, honey. You're being a very good girl. I love you. Yeah. So I rode horses from about, funny, I didn't even mean, from like 7 to 15. And it was really, really cool. They're very, very, they spook really easily. They're very sensitive. They're very sweet. They're very beautiful. I always had a great relationship with all of my horses. There's one, this is an amazing story. I was 12. I was in a group riding lesson on Doodad. Doodad was my boy. I love Doodad. He was a great guy. He was like a best friend. We were in a group lesson. There was a girl behind us on a big horse she couldn't control. Big horse was biting at Doodad. Doodad was like, leave off, right? So Doodad starts bucking to try to get the other horse off. I'm trying to control Doodad. Buggy Bronco, like rodeo situation. My stirrups break. I flip end over end and into the sawdust in the arena. I black out for a moment because my brain is like, yeah, red alert, red alert. Right. When I come to, I have a handful of sawdust because my body's response was like, I'm going to throw this sawdust in your face because I'm so mad at you. So I have this handful of sawdust and I look up and I see Doodad reins over his head, big eyes. And to me, he was saying, oh my, I mean, like coming up to me on the ground. He's like, oh my gosh, friend, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? And I immediately release my hand to the sawdust and he like comes close to me and I grab the reins and he helps me get up.
Oh, that's so sweet.
He felt so bad. It's kind of like if we have a temper tantrum and we break or hurt something, he's like, oh, I didn't mean to. I'm sorry.
Right?
was really cool.
My sister had a horse. My sister had a horse, and she was half quarter horse, half Arabian, and she was only 14 2 hands, so that's just a little bit over pony height, right?
Yeah.
And her owner was, over 6 feet, big cowboy, and he used to take her out in the trails drunk, and he'd whip her, and like, no way, and so many levels, this was not a match, right? My sister, who's 10 years old, tiny little thing, she gets on the horse, and everybody was like, it was wild Mona. Mona's a wild, uncontrollable horse. It had nothing to do with Mona. It had everything to do with how she was being treated.
Yeah.
And my sister get on her, and immediately she was calm as could be.
Yep. It's that mutual respect. It's one of my favorite sensations in the world. I'll die on this hill. Leaning forward on a horse all the way over and scritching them right between their ears. Anytime I'm riding horses, I'm always like, thank you so much. Wow, you're just like it started with horses for me. And it's just like so much respect and care. Like even when you're picking out their hooves, you're being very gentle. You like lean into them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also an issue of respect to me. Like my dad does it. I learned this from my parents. Dogs are sir and ma'am. I'd be like, sir, would you sit, please? Like, even if it's got that tone of like, no, sit down. It's like sir or ma'am, or it's that, again, it's that transaction of intentionality. It's that respect. It's that reverence. And animals pick up on that because there's 100%. A genuineness there. Just 100%. As much as like the hatred vein is like, gee, like the love is like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Do you do any dog training?
I do not. I mean, I do with some. I mean, I was raising a puppy with a friend and I did a lot of like training for Harley. But most of my clients that I have are already pretty well trained. So I just make sure I always ask with every consultation, I'm like, what commands do you use? Do you have hand signals? What's the routine? But I always have like, you always sit before you eat your food. Like it's really about me, asking all the right questions and adhering to the practices that their parents already put into place.
Right. Let's talk about cats for a few minutes because you also work with cats.
I do.
Yes, and they're very different from dogs. So
very different.
How do you approach a cat?
I approach a cat with softness and reverence. Softness, reverence, and love. I always approach a cat with lower energy and a paw out. And I'm like, oh, hello. Like kind of like if you're flirting or something, you're like, oh, it's so nice to see. Hi, ma'am. And then whenever they come to me or like sit on my lap or let me scritch them, I'm like, thank you so much. This is so nice, isn't it? So cats are more of a softness and a delicacy. And then sometimes with some cats that give me attitude, it's a lot of blinking. I really focus on eye contact because that is you can either challenge or soften with eye contact. So if I have a cat that's like really like staring me down, that doesn't trust me, I will specifically make eye contact and do like a soft blink and like a bow of the head, meaning like I'm not a threat. Or in some opportunities, if they're challenging me, I'm like, eye contact, I'm like, you want to go? If you're going to present some attitude, I got some attitude as well. So it's really diagnostic in this situation, but it's a lot of eye contact and it's a lot of softness of energy, offering treats and then letting them come to you and then being like, look, this is nice. I'm a nice one. But you can even hear it in how I'm speaking here. It's a complete, to me, there's a musicality to it. And I think this is the acting in me too. It's a flexing of energy. Like you can see every time I've talked to Rory, I'm like, right? It's fun. It's cool. It comes naturally to me. And to me, it's a natural thing. But, oh, there's a belly. I love this belly. Thank you. To me, it's a natural flex that comes to me easily, but I'm realizing with my clients that I'm not normal, that this is an excellent, we have an excellent ability that to us seems normal, but we're exceptional.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's marketing 101 or business 101, as they say, do what is easy for you, but is not easy for somebody else. And the design world, the healing stuff it's easy for me, and when I first started my business,
because it's purpose for you. It's like purpose driven. Yeah,
it is. When I first started my business, I had a hard time charging. I mean, all entrepreneurs do this. It's like we undercharge because, well, it's so easy for me. But it's not about what's easy for us. It's about the value that we give. And that's a lesson you learn first on when you start a business. Yeah. The first time you give yourself a pay raise, oh man, does it feel good.
Yeah.
Because it's like you realize, wait a second, this isn't easy for everybody.
Yeah.
It's easy for me. This is my talent. And the way you're speaking about the animals, to the animals, like most people don't talk to their animals that much.
Yeah. That seems wild to me. I'm constantly singing them songs and like giving them empowering compliments and be like, how'd you get these ears? Are these aftermarket ears? They're so good ones. And even if they don't know what I'm saying, they know the intention. They know the energy. Yeah.
And that attention is so important.
Intention and attention. I love that. Yeah.
Yes.
100%. Intentional attention.
Yes. Because they are kids. They are like kids. And, a dog needs a different kind of attention than a cat, but each one needs its own. It's like you could have 10 kids and they're all going to be different.
Yeah.
You have to give each one the level of attention that it needs.
Yep. Like I was talking earlier about Maggie. Maggie does not like to be touched. She does not like loud noises. But when she initiates play, then it's all day. And she'll get really grumpy if my friend and I are laughing too loud. And if we laugh too loud, I lower my energy and I go, I'm sorry, Margaret. I'm sorry, that my bad. Like I go beta to her alpha so she feels power, because that's what makes her feel calm, is being a little bossy brownie. So I'm like, I'm sorry, Margaret, my bad. And because of that, I'm one of the only humans that can like interact with her that's not her parent.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's about talking to them on their frequency.
Yes. I wanted to say this earlier. I'm so glad you brought it back up. It's communicating in a way that we can be heard. So it's kind of like, I think there's a practical application, like if people listening don't have pets, what about your interactions on a daily basis, right? How can you communicate in a way that you can be heard? How can you soften, send out your sight, send out your hearing, receive the environment? And say, for example, what if you're at a restaurant and you can tell that the server is very, all the body language and the environment is giving stress, just stress. So what if in your interaction with that beautiful, hardworking person, you could be very kind? And not like, you don't need to be like full sugar cube kind. You can just be like, thank you so much. Like, it just a little bit goes a long way if you're allowing yourself to shut up and serve the moment. Get yourself out of here and see what the moment needs and offer that. I say shut up with love.
Well, and this active listening that you talk about, it works with humans just as well as it does with pets. Now, you may not use as many voices and stuff as you do with but
yeah.
But the same intentions. Like if you're with somebody who's really agitated, lowering your energy so that you don't feel like it's a threat, or maybe maybe the situation is you need to be a bigger threat, depending on what it is. But by changing your energy, you can change the situation. And
Yeah.
the waiter was a great, like sometimes they're just frazzled and it's nobody's fault. But
once you're in the weeds as a server,
the wrong way.
Yeah. Once you're in the weeds, it's all over. So it's like just a little bit of being an actor, I've worked a lot in the restaurant industry, but once you're in the weeds, it's over, right? And so it's like, and the kitchen is stressed and the da-da-da and the runner and the hostess and you're overset and somebody needs more tea with lemon, but you gotta go to the bar to get the lemon. So my God, my feet hurt. I'm hungry. And then if someone is just kind to you, it just like, it softens some of that.
And we never know, I call them God moments. We never know how easy it is to do that and how much we affect somebody else. And it can be just as simple as saying thank you.
Right? You don't need to be like Disney princess. You just get to be kind. Or also not even just be kind, just don't be a jerk.
Right? There's the age-old story about the kid who he cleaned out his locker. He had all these books going home from school, and another kid saw him. He says, "Oh, you need some help." And he took a few of the books and he walked him home. Do you know the story?
No, but I'm in it. I'm actively listening. I'm engaged.
The kid who had all the books and cleaned out his locker, he ended up being valedictorian for the school in their senior year. And he gets up and he gives a speech, and I got chills. But he says, "I wasn't going to be here today. I cleaned out my locker and I was going to kill myself. But we'll call him Johnny, came and he took my books and we became friends. He gave me a reason to live." And Johnny didn't know he just saw a kid that needed help. Like, hey, but sometimes we don't know how much that little act is helping another person. During COVID, I went to a restaurant. I love this story. So I went to this restaurant and it was on a roof. It's November and it's LA, but it's November.
Yeah.
And the guy the waiter had these big dark glasses on. Like they weren't just glasses. They seemed big. And he had this mask that went all the way, all I could see was black on his face. And there was 2 tables for 2. So he stood on the other side of the table from us. Mm-hmm. Okay, keeping distance, fine. But then he whispered. And my friend and I looked at each other and we're like, well, this is what we want to order. And hopefully this is what you asked, because we have no idea what you said.
Yeah.
And during COVID, you could tell when people are smiling, even if you couldn't see the smile.
It's in the smile.
Right? So we couldn't see his eyes either, right? So
I got nothing.
Right? There was just like, it was like
I see no signals. Help me.
Right? But you could still get this energy from. The only time he came close to engaging with us was when he put the bill down. Mm-hmm. And he's very lucky that my friend paid the bill and not me. It was my birthday. Now, during COVID, there's a restaurant that I went to. I've gone there for like 20 years, but they upped their customer service like you wouldn't believe during COVID. And I was so mad. I rode straight to that restaurant. I walked in there and said, "I need to talk to the manager."
Yeah.
And I said, "I just want to tell you, at first I said, you're not in trouble because you got that shame look, right?"
Right.
Oh, shit. What do I got to deal with?
Right.
I told him, I said, "I got to tell you, every time I come in here, I'm greeted with smiles. People recognize me. They know my name.
I'm Jeanette Chesworth, everybody. Come on."
Right? But it wasn't just me. They did this with all the regulars.
I'm teasing you.
But, but I said, I've always felt welcomed here. And I started out, I said, I just had the worst experience ever. And, during COVID, I mean, yes, okay, precautions, fine, but it's still about people. And you're in a people industry and you're there to help make people feel good, you know? And it goes both ways. You can't be a jerk as a customer either, but he was on a high. The restaurant guy the owner. He was on a high for days after that, they said. So anyway, oh my gosh, it's already 11:55. I can't believe it's gone by so fast.
What a great conversation.
Yes. So, Mark, yes,
Yes, it's been a great conversation. I was listening to y'all, monitoring y'all, and all along those lines. I mean, y'all can go a bit longer if y'all want, but it's like two whisperers in one room. I don't know if we can handle this much whispering and everything along those lines. So two whisperers in one room, but y'all have had a delightful conversation, and I know that you would, because I've had the pleasure of meeting Mary through one of the other shows. So I know that she is an amazing lady, and I've always done your show, so I knew it would be an amazing conversation, and glad that y'all were able to connect and have this whispering joy from the West Coast, since most of y'all are
Mark,
over
thank
there
you for
in the.
playing your part in the joy transaction and facilitating this connection. Right.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things like that. It's like those bridges, like it takes a village, right? So Mark, you met me in the Misfits Managed podcast and you were like, "Ooh, I only mentioned the pet whispering," and you were like, "You need to meet Jeanette." And
Yeah.
then I said yes, and then here we are. And blah, la, la, la,
And you
la.
guys having a great conversation and everything. I did have one quick question for you that I had to ask that I was curious about and everything. In the whispering space of pets and everything, is there any pet that you had difficulty whispering with and everything? Because I know that you've been talking about cats and dogs and even the
Yes.
rabbits and the parrots and everything, but I know that people have unusual pets. There are even people that have
Yes.
pet parrots and pet tarantulas. So I was just wondering if there are any pets that you have whispered with that you were sitting there going like, I don't know if I understand your language.
I'm ready to go. A pig named Bella. Bella has passed. She had some cancer. Bella had a very particular, unique personality. She she wasn't really sure of me. Now, pigs are really interesting because it's also about me being soft and kind to your genetic predisposition. A pig is a prey animal, right? So for someone new coming into the environment, Bella is going to be, and she's a big girl, Bella. And I wanted to be nothing but like love and safety and comfort to her, which I endeavored to do. And her parent was just over the moon with the whispering I was able to do with Bella, but it was a lot of work. And she like nipped at me at one point. And so it's really like at that moment, I had this like anger flare up of like, I just got bitten by a pig. It wasn't like, didn't break the skin, but it was her being protective and defensive. And so she's very smart and she's testing me. So in that moment, I was just like, excuse me, ma'am. I have been nothing but wonderful to you, and you don't get to treat me that way. Not very nice. No, thank you. Right. So it's that line of like wanting to snap, but also knowing that she's testing me in this relationship. Um, and, our first day was a little bit rocky. Like I have to like lead her outside. She's an inside outside pig. But then we really had a good rapport and a good relationship. And she would let me brush her and I would like give her lots of pats. I'd be like, yo, you're a big, beautiful baby. Your ear scritch. Like at first she wouldn't even let me touch her. But then after a while, I think she realized that her mom wasn't there and be like, you got Mary Poppins, you need to deal with it. So she was a lot of work and we developed a really great relationship, but she was smart and she was scared. So it's just a lot of really tender patience and softness, even when I'm feeling really frustrated, not letting her know that I'm feeling frustration. So Bella.
He's a Great Dane all the time.
Yeah.
I mean,
I have to be the great no matter what I'm feeling. And if I need to do I just go outside and do it, right? Like it's not her fault. She's just scared. Like there's no ill will. Also, I think it's keeping in mind that it's not about you. No. If there's some kind of lashing out, also I think this is great advice in all of our lives. If someone's lashing out or being cruel to you, it mostly has nothing to do with you. And
Right.
you are actually providing a safe space where they're able to express themselves.
Yep. That makes a lot of sense.
Right?
It's so true. It's so true.
It's knowing yourself, it's a lot of surrender and forgiveness and softening and just being a good human.
Yeah.
Great question, Mark.
Yeah, glad to do that.
So I want to give you a few minutes to plug your business. How do we get hold of you? Exactly what do you do? You just take a few minutes to really plug yourself.
Yes, thank you. The best way to get a hold of me, I'm going to make sure I say my email address correctly, is to reach out to me, the Hollywood Pet Whisperer @gmail.com, spelled exactly how it sounds, the Hollywood Pet Whisperer @gmail.com. You can also follow me on Instagram, again, double checking. Instagram, which is Hollywood Pet Whisperer on Instagram. I've got a lot of fun posts and stuff like that. Feel free to message me and chat. I'd love to meet with you, answer any questions if you're having any problems with your critters and you need some assistance. So Instagram is Hollywood Pet Whisperer. Gmail is the Hollywood Pet Whisperer @gmail.com. I've got the website, still working on the website. Chat with me, engage with me. I'm clearly a very nice, big, Great Dane of a human. And that's how you book me and chat with me. I'm based out of Hollywood, but right now I'm in Calabasas, so I can go anywhere all around. I have no pets myself. I adopt everyone else's, so I can go anywhere and do anything.
I love it. This has been such a joy. And would you say you are the bringer of joy? And that's definitely true today. I think our pets are such a big part of bringing us joy. And to be able to have somebody like you to pet sit for them and provide such a safe place for them to be, that's so very important. So thank you. We can do this again if you would like. I think we had a blast. So
that's a good time. And I love everything that you're doing too. I have lots of reverence and respect for the whisper in all ways of our lives. How can we listen deeper and facilitate more joy for ourselves and our spaces and everyone we love?
100%.
Yeah.
So now we've got all this love. We're going to go do something that I love, which is Can Do Spice, because it makes a body feel good. Okay, Mark, you ready?
You know how people love to enjoy food and don't understand how to flavor their food or how to replicate a meal? They're interested in supplements, but don't know where to begin? Well, what I do is I take the guesswork out of enjoying flavor and wellness with my flavorful spice blends so that they can create delicious meals with healing benefits. Can Do Spice was created to help cooks at any level enjoy healing through food. Every spice blend was designed to give added health benefits of natural herbs. Every blend is complete. There's no need to add any additional spice for a delicious meal. Saving you time and money while adding supplements to your meals can be both tasty and fun. My earliest memories in the kitchen began with my father, Kenny Can Do Bond, so it was fitting that I would name this line after him. I have always looked to natural remedies to supplement the body, and I found myself hiding herbs and minerals in foods for my family. That's when it hit me. Everyone needs Can Do Spice. Everyone should be having this. It's an exclusive brand for cooks at any level who want to create flavorful dishes with healing benefits that can satisfy the body and soul. Add a little spice to your life. Give Can Do Spice a try.